Hey, so Kat and Julia here with Photo SEO Lab, and in this video we're going to be talking Google Search Console. We're going to have a quick overview to find out what it's all about and why it's so helpful in terms of improving your rankings. So what you want to do is head over to Google, type in Google Search Console, make sure you're signed into your Google account, and you should arrive at this overview screen. Okay, so this is the screen that should load up when Google Search Console loads, and we're going to give this a quick look over in the coverage area here to make sure that our valid pages have not changed and that we've not got any unexpected errors. If your valid pages had suddenly dropped for some reason, that would be worthy of investigation. And if you suddenly had a whole bunch of errors that you were not expecting, if you had not been working on the site recently, then you might want to open this report and dig in a little bit deeper to figure out why they're there. But for now, we're going to just head over to the performance. Now, before we do, you'll see there's a whole bunch of things here on the left-hand side, and there's loads of features in this awesome bit of software. I would highly recommend that you take the time to learn the ins and outs of everything here. But in this tutorial, we're just going to be looking at how to actually use the data to improve your ranking. So this is just a quick glance at it. There will be other tutorials over on my blog that you can welcome to go and check out. So we're going to click on performance here, okay? And load up this page, and the first thing you want to do, especially if you're a wedding business, is change the date range. Wedding businesses have such seasonality, and what we don't want to do is correlate some sort of drop with an issue in your website when actually might just be a seasonal change. So a note on that as well, I would highly recommend that you use the Google Trends tool to go figure out when the seasonal changes are in your business, because if you are worrying about there being a dip, actually that just might be a global dip because of the seasonality of your business. So you want to make sure you're not worrying about things that actually aren't a problem. Okay, and as we all know, wedding businesses are a bit of a roller coaster with all the seasonal shifts. So let's just click that, change it to 12 months, and then we've got an overview of the whole year, and we can see the difference in our kind of performance for that year. So let's talk about these blocks along the top here. I'm just going to switch them all on. Now, this data isn't data from Facebook or Pinterest or Instagram. This is just organic search data. So this is data in relation to what you're shown for in organic search results. So the figures in here are going to be different from Google Analytics. So Google Analytics is all of your data for your website. That includes social media, direct traffic, organic rankings as well, all of the data, whereas this is just organic rankings. So if you've done a promoted Facebook post recently, this isn't really going to be carried through into this traffic. It might have a kind of knock-on effect, because if you've got a higher visibility for your brand and people are heading over to Google and searching for your brands, maybe rather than clicking on your advert, then it can have a positive impact, but not in a direct way. If you wanted to see the benefits of your ad campaigns on Pinterest or Facebook or Instagram, then you want to be looking on Google Analytics for that. Okay, so let's talk about what all these coloured lines mean. So a click, if we just switch this off, is when someone clicks on one of your posts or pages or products that's shown in the organic search results. Okay, an impression is whenever you're shown in the search results. So this is a post or a page or anything on your website, really. An impression is when you're shown. So it doesn't matter if it's page 1 or page 100 or page 300. If it's an impression, then it's counted. So then we've got average click-through rate. Now, the click-through rate is how many clicks you got in relation to how many impressions. So if you rank for lots and lots of different terms and your impressions are really high, then your click-through rate can look quite low. But whether that's low or high or not, I mean, the higher it is, the better. But it doesn't always correspond really with how many bookings you can get. Ultimately, if you're a wedding business and you're aiming for maybe 30, 40, 50 weddings a year or whatever, then the important thing to bear in mind is, do you rank for the right terms? And do the pages that you want to rank for those terms actually rank for those terms? That's the important thing. So honestly, wouldn't worry too much about things like average position or your average click-through rate. Although the higher the better. Really, if you're ranking for the right terms and those are resulting in bookings, you're doing okay. So we're going to switch these off. Now, when you're looking at the overall impressions, what we want to be mindful of is there any dips outside of the seasonal shift that we would expect as part of a wedding business? And as you can see here, this is a pretty big dip that happened around about July. Now, if I hadn't changed anything around July, then I might be a bit concerned that all of a sudden my impressions had dropped. However, these impressions changed here because I moved from a city with 5 million people within commuting distance to a lower populated country with about the same amount of people in the whole country. The city that I'm currently in has only really a few 100,000 people as a population, whereas the previous one was over 1 million. So that's going to have an impact on search volume and search terms and things. And I changed my website at the same time. So that's, we can see that there's a dip there that relates to some changes made in my website. Now, if you had maybe changed your design or something, but nothing else had changed and you had suddenly dipped like this, then that would be something worthy of investigation. Although making a change maybe from one platform to another, if you go from Wix to Squarespace or Squarespace to Showit or whatever, although that can cause a variation in rankings, it should pick back up afterwards. So it's really important, I think, that you are familiar with Google Search Console data and that you can use that to keep an eye on the performance of your site and spot any problems early so you can deal with them. I've seen lots of photographers that I've worked with change platforms, but the SEO settings haven't been carried over, and they've maybe waited months and seen a lower amount of rankings and less business, only to realise several months later that actually their page optimization is all gone and it's only improved when they've put it back. So this is why checking Google Search Console is so important. There's some really valuable information in here about the performance of your site, and it means that you can keep an eye on performance and tackle any issues that come up fairly quickly. Okay, so we're going to switch clicks on and an average position. We're not going to worry about the click-through rate too much at the moment. Little word on average position. What is important is that you rank for the terms you want to rank for, and the average doesn't really tell you the full story. This used to be significantly lower for me. I think my average positions always hovered around the 46 or 47 mark. However, I did have over 100 page one rankings and I was able to hit my wedding targets and be fully booked. Now, since I've relocated, I've deleted a load of old work off of my website. I'm redoing my website. It's not quite finished yet. And that has actually improved. However, I'm still ranking for the wrong city in some cases. So just because it's got better doesn't mean that I'm actually getting more bookings. So I wouldn't worry too much about the overall average position at all. So let's look at the next most important thing on here. And this is the area down here. So we've got queries and pages. So this tells us what terms Google is actually delivering your website for. And we want to make sure that things like for the homepage, for example, is actually being shown in the search results for the right terms. So if we head over to pages and we want to I would start with having a look at your homepage. Now, my homepage is split into two because for some reason known only to them, my web company decided to strip the www out. I had a problem around about July when I changed it all and they made a change. Anyway, so this is the performance. This is my homepage just from July onwards, and this is my homepage before July. So let's have a look at the older version here. And what we can see if we go over to queries is just the queries that this homepage was shown for. So if we have a look down the bottom of the page here, we're going to just increase these rows per page to the maximum amount. And we can see that the homepage ranked for lots and lots of different terms. Now, when you have a look at this data, what you want to make sure of is, does your homepage actually rank for the terms that you want it to rank for? I've had a look at photographers' homepages. I've looked at hundreds of photographers' websites, and I've seen homepages that have ranked for pizza businesses and for competitor photographers and other completely random things that are not related to their business at all. So it's really important, if you've got a homepage that you want to rank for a certain term, that Google understands that, and you'll be able to see if Google understands it by seeing if one of the keywords that you want to rank for is actually shown under query. So we can see here there's a bunch of different things. I was based in Manchester, So we've got Manchester wedding photographer, and my position there, and impressions and clicks and all that type of thing. So as we can see, this is all the different terms that page ranked for. Now, another way that this could be used is to see maybe what your main keyword is and what pages are being shown for that. And that will show you if you've got any issues with pages kind of competing with other pages. So if we just get rid of this little filter here, and we're going to look at queries, and let's just type in Glasgow, for example, which is my new city that I've moved to. Okay, so now we're looking at all the queries, and we've got a bunch of different variations of terms that have got Glasgow in them. And what we want to see is what pages actually rank for the ones that are getting the most traffic. So if we look at wedding photography Glasgow, and we just click on that query itself, and then we flip it to pages, we can see that these 3 different pages are ranking for that term. So we can see that my old page here was shown once and was only shown a few hundred times, and then there was the hiccup with my hosting company, and then this is the one that's been shown at the moment. Now, if we'd done this exercise and I had a whole list of pages here that were all being shown for this would maybe suggest that I had pages competing with each other. And that's really important, that we're not having multiple pages optimized for the same thing, because it can just confuse Google in which page to be shown, really. So you want to make sure that your website contains a variety of different pages and posts that are all optimized for different terms, because instead of casting like a fishing rod, it's more like casting a net, and you want to get your website in front of as many people as possible. So hopefully just now in this quick summary, I've given you an idea into how powerful this information is. What it shows you is how your pages and posts perform in the organic search results. And Google's actually telling you what search results pages are being shown for. And when you look at that information, you can check whether that's correct. And if it's not correct, then you can go and optimize those pages to make sure that there's content, text content and alt text and headings and subheadings and everything, that there's content on there that's going to be reflective of what you actually want to rank for. So I hope that helps. If you want to see any other tutorials, you can head over to my blog, and there's a couple more in-depth tutorials within my Facebook page as well. Awesome. Any questions, feel free to shoot me an email, but I hope that helps.